video games are for nerds. But that doesn't mean we can't talk about them. That's why you're listening to The Week in Gaming, the only gaming podcast that breaks down the last 7 days and tears games apart from the inside. Ugh. So forget your worries, open your ears, and join Simon Miller and a co-host for the entertainment chatter you need. Also, screw Dark Souls.
Hello and welcome to the Week in Gaming podcast, surprising you on a Monday as we actually stick to a schedule. My name is Simon Miller, and thank you to everybody who downloads, listens to this, and just allows it to go through your ears. I massively appreciate it. And an even bigger shout out to everyone that allows this podcast to exist to begin with over on patreon.com/SimonMiller316. If you want to support the podcast, you can do so there. Welcome to my man Sam, who always co-hosts with me. Sam, how are we doing today?
Doing good. How about you?
I'm all right. Tired, but ready to talk about games. So it's still kind of quiet a little bit, but interesting actually. Sam, something you've been playing is going to tie into something that we're going to talk towards the end of the podcast, and that of course is you played Florence, which is has been a well touted game for a while now. I mean, I guess just give me the 411 on it. I know that people love it, and you always see... It's one of those games you rarely see a bad word about. It's kind of... I'm not sure how well it did commercially, but critically, an absolute gem.
Yeah, it's one of those games that costs like £3, not over £3 on the App Store. It took about half an hour to complete, but probably could take people up to an hour, if they sort of savor it a bit more. And it's one of those games, all the buzzwords you get, like beautiful, really human story and all that stuff. And it sounds cynical to say, but it's worth getting it out of the way because, to be fair, with those labels, you know exactly what you're sort of getting. It's sort of something like Life is Strange sort of thing. And it's a really... Yeah, it is a really human story because it's not cliched at all. It's just the story. You play as Florence, and I'm not going to go straight into all the details because, as you can imagine, if you say much about a half an hour long game, you've already spoiled it. But it's like she meets someone, and it's sort of the trials and tribulations of a modern relationship. And it's just a really nice game. There's no dialogue. It is almost as if you're playing through a visual novel, but I say almost because it's not like with a visual novel you're just pressing a certain button to continue the story, right? But this, it changes up the medium, and I think it's not only because it's got a really good story that I think people like it. It's just this storytelling medium is great. Like one time you'll be scrolling down to advance this comic book, and then one time you'll be moving your finger around a clock to signal the passage of time, and then one time you'll have to fill in the conversation so there's like an oval speech box which signifies what you're saying, and then you'll have puzzle pieces to fit in. And it's like this is, I guess, a small spoiler, but on your first date, the puzzles are really hard to get into the speech box because it's obviously signalizing how awkward you are on the date. Right. But as things progress, that puzzle becomes easier until it's just you fit a circle into where it needs to be. And then it's just real little touches like that. And I think it's the same with VR as well. I think when people are aware of the medium of which they're playing and then adapt their mechanics and their gameplay to suit that is when it works best. Because when people try to put first person shooters badly on phones, and you're like, this isn't made to be on a phone. Whereas awful. This is so well crafted for a phone, and I didn't have to use two fingers at all. It was all my thumb, just taking this story around in a number of different ways, and it's just a really solid mobile game. And I've been trying to get more into mobile games because there's a lot more than I think people give it credit for. There's a lot more substance out there than people give it credit for, and this really shows that. And I think it's it's very worthy of the praise that's been heaped upon it. And for £3, I mean, it's not a lot of game time you'll get, but it's very high quality, and that's what matters, really.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Like, when you say there's almost like an insult, not insulting, but mobile games are crap. Who wins a mobile game? Absolute bollocks. I think one of the reasons is for exactly what you just said, because what people want to do is they want to take games that are successful on, PlayStations and Xboxes, and they want to try and work that into... They think they can get the same audience by putting it on a mobile phone, as opposed to actually looking at the technology and the hardware they've got and thinking to themselves, well, no, how is that ever going to work? How is that ever going to be comfortable?
Yeah, I remember when someone told me Life is Strange is on Android, and I was like, I can't imagine playing that game on Android. It just doesn't seem like the place for it. Whereas this is like something that's made specifically with that in mind, and it works so well because of that.
Yeah, I honestly, that to me, that is what changed my mind when it came to mobile games. Is when I actually, because you do try those things. I mean, I don't think Call of Duty ever released anything on mobile. They may have done, but it's almost like an intriguing kind of thing. And you play it, and you're like, I don't really want to do this. And the best games are the ones that come up with, like I say, things that suit what you're doing. And Fortnite obviously is a massive success on mobile, but I don't understand that either. Because when I try to play it on that, look, I'm not the world's biggest Fortnite fan. Like, let's not pretend otherwise. I think it's difficult, even when I'm using a proper pad. But even if I did like it, I don't think there would be much in me to tempt to play it on the phone, other than I'm stuck on a bus or something like that, and I'm a bit bored. Because I just know that I'm not going to get an experience that I enjoy. And if that's all you're going to get, eventually you're going to get tired of it. It's a bit like when the PSP first came out and everybody tried to do the same thing. It was kind of cool with the 2 sticks and it worked to a certain degree, but it was never going to be the same as what you could do on a PlayStation 4 or 3 at the time. When you're trying to, replicate that experiences and it's just not the same, you're just setting yourself up for a fall. And it's only now with games like this, and again, charge less, but you can also offer less as well, because the expectation goes down with price, as we've talked about before. And then all of a sudden, mobile games become really cool. Like, really, really, really cool. Like, all those sort of football-related ones where you're just tapping and flicking, they shouldn't work as well as they do, but they do. And they're really, really fun. They're really, really fun to play. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think it's just, you just need to keep it simple, and that's why VR works so well. Because like my favorite VR game, Moss, it's a platformer, but you have a headset on at the same time. Whereas like some people that try to make a full, like Skyrim VR is way too ambitious. That doesn't work as well now, because it's trying to sort of put a square peg in a round hole sort of thing. And like acknowledging the limitations of your medium is not a bad thing. Like we don't all need Skyrim in VR. That's fine. I could play Skyrim elsewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why one of the best VR experiences I played was Serious Sam. Yeah. I don't know if it ever actually came out or properly or not. It probably did. I probably played the finished version, didn't even realise. But the best thing about it was you stood still, and it was like a wave attack game, and you just shot stuff. You couldn't charge 50 quid for that, but you could absolutely release it for 20, 25, embrace the medium, have it as almost a tech demo that people were. I enjoyed it, and more importantly, I wanted to show it to other people. That's what I was excited about. I'd love to show this to, to so-and-so. I think they'd really enjoy it. So, yeah. That really is something that I guess people could learn from. Whether or not they do, I don't know. I mean, you'd like to think that we've got that far, but, I always say this kind of stuff and I'm always wrong. So, but I do think it would help mobile games exponentially if you just start. I think it is happening. I do think it is happening. I think, by and large, the games that get released like that do speak more to what a phone can do. And just keep doing that. Like you say, I don't need to play Skyrim. Also, who wants to play? Anyone that has used one of those headsets for more than 20 minutes knows you do not want to play Skyrim with that headset on the entire time. That'd be hell on earth.
Opening cave with spiders, you don't want that either.
No. Oh man, I'm not interested in that at all. So,
yeah, I've also downloaded Monument Valley and a game called Gorogoa. Those are both meant to be very good. Again, like hovering around the £3 mark. So I'll see if I can play those next week, and then we can talk about those on the journey through mobile game.
Yeah, what is Monument Valley? I've heard of that one, but I can't remember what the hell it is.
I don't know. It's one of those ones that I've heard about, and I've seen so many screenshots of it, and I've heard so many people go on about it that I'm just like, you know what? Let's just binge the mobile game.
Yeah, why not, dude? Why not? Honestly, I find myself, I don't take the Switch out of that house as much as I should do. It's a bit like a new pair of shoes, the Switch. I know it's meant to do that, but I want to protect it. So I keep it in the house, which is dumb, because that's not the whole point. The whole point is to run around with it. But I don't know, what if something bad happens? Like,
and sometimes if you got a 15-minute journey, it can't really be asked to boot up a Switch game or something. Sometimes you just sort of want to be on your phone. It's a bit quicker as a medium. And I know it sounds like so privileged to be complaining that the Switch is too bulky, but it is, because they're more bulky experiences, right? They're not made for 15-minute bus rides. They're made for sort of longer flights and out and about on the toilet sort of situations.
No, completely, absolutely. Completely. Well, I look forward to that, Sam. I like mobile games. I'm intrigued to see what side of the fence you fall on. Also, this week, the Division 2 is out. It's here. I know that it's got to the top of the chart. However, it's also only sold 20% of what the original did. Now, I don't know whether it's a sign of the times. I don't know whether it's just people didn't want to, jump back into the Division 2. I don't have an answer to that. I mean, again, as we've talked about here, I won't play it. I know a lot of people are excited about it. But, a lot of the feedback I've seen is just, it sounds empty, the Division 2. People have said bad story, not as well executed as the first, kind of doesn't really grab the franchise by the horns and move it forward. I don't know where it goes. I mean, to me, between that and Destiny and the Destiny of Destiny, both of those they kind of come across as games that seem to have far more potential than they ever actually, lived up to. And don't get me wrong, it's done well, the Division 2. I think the Metacritic score at the moment is like 81. Saw a lot of 9s. And that's from, proper people as well. I know Destructoid really liked it. But I don't know. I remember when the first Division came out. Do you remember when they first showed that trailer at E3 or whenever it was?
Yeah.
People couldn't wait for it. Same with Watch Dogs, and then you get to kind of the sequel, where really that's where you should start building the franchise. That's always what used to happen in games, and it just doesn't seem to happen that way anymore. But it's not my game, so I can't really talk about it further than that.
Yeah, it's one of those things. A lot of people are saying, because that's physical sales, but the first one only released in 2016, and I don't think the industry has changed that much. I think it has been in the last 3 years. It has been shifting to digital, but I think 20% is still indicative of a big drop. Like, I would have thought I didn't expect that. I expected it to do quite well. Obviously, it's top of the charts, but like still 20% of the original. That's mad.
Yeah, and I think. I think maybe those games, because you mentioned it only came out in 2016, I think people expected longer tails. I don't think people see them as the same as I can't think of the right word, but a normal single or multiplayer game. I think because they see them as experiences, they're like, well, these are persistent online worlds. I feel like they should hang around for longer than just a couple of years, or 3 years in this case. And I think a small part of me would be inclined to agree with it. That should be a Netflix model. They just keep giving and giving it. Because have they really... I already done some skim reviews, and again, I only played the first one for a few hours, so I'm not the best person to talk about it. But it doesn't sound like they're all that... It doesn't sound like it's changed enough to justify actually being a sequel.
No, it looks very good, and I think I'll probably enjoy it, but it's one of those games I don't think, like Anthem, I don't think I'll get right now. I'll wait and see how it goes in its own life and then jump on board at a later date.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Right, I mean, that's all the games that are out this week. I don't know when the next big game is out, but we will talk about it as and when. But there is a few interesting news bits, one of which, Sam, you'll be able to talk far more intelligently than me about. As Team Sonic have come out and said they are making a new Sonic game. No big surprise. I mean, Sonic games just keep on ticking over. I imagine they're still selling to somebody. I guess the real question is, what kind of game do we get? What kind of game do we want? They've tried new experiments. They've gone back to the well a few times. Every game seems to draw a line right down the middle of the Sonic fan base. I mean, I quite like the fact I was never into Sonic because I don't have to put up with the dubious things that come out.
Yeah, I really don't know. Like, they tried doing that. They really half-assed the commitment with the making your own character in Sonic Forces because, like, you make your own character and then you save Sonic in the third mission or something. And it's like, it's a Sonic game again. And it's the same Sonic game that we've seen thousands of times before, in the sense that, it was like Sonic 06, and like, I don't know how much you played, but it's like one of those ones where you get to a fast point.
I played it.
And you're sort of looking at the screen as Sonic runs for you, because like it's just sort of an on-rails runner experience. Obviously Sonic Mania got it right, because it essentially remade the originals, which worked so well. But the last new Sonic game that people didn't absolutely trash, I can't tell you the last game that wasn't even like criticized, that was just like lukewarm. I can't remember a Sonic game being lukewarm reception. Like, I just don't know what to do. Like, because if I was a Sonic team, I'd be like, we've been 3D for ages, and if we don't go 3D and we go 2D, we're just copying Sonic Mania. But we've literally tried so many things with the 3D Sonic, and they've all been trashed. So, I don't know. I've said for a while, you got to have a look in the mirror and wonder if, like, that like saying, if if so many people like leave you, you've got to like look at yourself as the problem.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of that thing. Like it's Sonic that's the problem. Like maybe it's Sonic just doesn't work in the 3D space, and that's fine. Maybe it's just about creating a new good 2D Sonic or something like that.
I was going to say, if that is the case, are you happy for them just to release, a 2D Sonic every couple of years?
I would be happy with that personally, because like it just seems like if you were going to try, and then constantly, like, I'm not that attached to Sonic, so it doesn't hurt me in my core when I see Forces and Sonic Boom and all that stuff come out. But if you're a real big fan, you see again and again these games that just get absolutely trashed, they're just like critically panned. Like, would you rather not just have something a little bit safer that's more of the same? Like, it's just, I don't know if you could do a good 3D Sonic game, really. Like,
it goes back to the mobile phone argument. You play with what you've got. Like, you don't have to follow. You don't have to follow suit. I mean, I don't know what their sort of new player base is. I don't know how many new players they get every week. I don't know. Not every week. Sorry, every game. I just can't believe if they stuck to that format. I think maybe the problem is they felt like they have to be like Mario. Maybe secretly that war is still going on and we just haven't realised. Because obviously, I don't want to wind up Nintendo fans. I'm the big Nintendo fan, but people say that Mario always reinvents itself. I wouldn't say that's necessarily true. I like Odyssey. I think Odyssey's fantastic, but you didn't play it. It wasn't Mario 64, was it? You didn't play it and go, "Oh my gosh, it's revolutionised the genre." It just, again, it looked at the Switch and it goes, "Well, what's the Switch good at? Oh, the Switch is good at this." And then it went, "What's Mario good at?" "Well, Mario's good at this." And it just, it just made it work in that regard. And I understand it's different for Sonic because they're trying to make a game that's going to be over multiple consoles. But I don't see why that team can't go, okay, look, the fans really like the 2D ones. The 2D ones are always the one that mostly have been successful. It's also a nod back to our past. But, on top of that, it is actually different to what else anyone else is doing in 2019. Like, not many people are making side-on 2D platform games with the Blue Hedgehog. So in that sense, it keeps it original. And sure, it's a bit boring in the Sonic universe, but if that's what fans want, keep doing it.
Do you remember Sonic Generations, the one that sort of combined the old Sonic with the new Sonic?
Yeah, it was on GameCube, right? Is that right? Was it GameCube?
I think that was the Xbox 360 one.
Oh, okay, right. So
but that was, I think, received okay, and that's because it had, I think, 2D platforming sections. And the stuff that worked, and yeah, I think that might just be the way to go. It's a really strange one because, like, I'd love to see them do 3D well, but I can't think of literally any idea that they've not tried that would do it well. I mean, one thing they need to do is get Sonic to stop talking, because he has nobody if you talk to Sonic, nobody's like, "Oh, I love the personality." Mario doesn't say anything, and he is loved by everyone. Whereas Sonic, he's going like, "Dude," and everyone hates it. So shut him up and
think of that movie. Think of the movie, dude. Think of the movie. He's going to be talking like that for 2 hours.
Yeah.
There's no way they're not going to make him a surfer dude. There is no way. No way in a million years that whoever's making that movie won't go, "Look, man, it's for kids. Kids love cool attitude Sonic." That's 100% going to happen.
Kids will know that's lame.
Oh man, well look, I mean, I'm not an authority on it. I never really got into the games as a kid, just because I think I've told this story 1,000 times. But when we were growing up, my parents said, "Look, you want an NES, you want a Mega Drive, Master System, I want an NES," and that was it. I was a Nintendo Nintendo machines ever growing up, and I never really got round to playing Sonic other than at my cousin's or friend's house here and there. And it was good, it wasn't a bad game. But I think by that time I'd been so indoctrinated by Mario, it was too hard to. Especially then, when the war was real. But I think you either go 2D or somebody has come up with some kind of ingenious idea to restart the franchise, and you go in that direction. But that doesn't mean going back to 3D or werehogs or things like that. I mean, it's actually trying something brand new. But maybe that's.
Yeah, I forgot about the werehogs.
Well, I think the werehog is the real thing that was that the Sonic
Unleashed.
Unleashed, that's the one. Because the biggest problem with that, I think they lost a lot of credibility with the fan base when they did that, because a lot of the materials leading up to release didn't mention the werehog, and it looked like an old Sonic game, and everyone was excited, and you played it and realised that was about 30% of the game, and 70% of the game was Sonic transforming into a giant werehog.
Yeah, I felt a bit that way with Forces, because I'm not a big Sonic fan, but I thought, okay, you're creating your own character in Forces, that's cool, okay, cool, interesting, it's not just about Sonic, and then it was just a Sonic game, it was just a 3D Sonic game that did everything wrong that the previous ones had, and I was just like, well, great, okay.
Yeah. Oh well, there you go, that's Sonic, new game coming out, make sure you get in touch and let us know what you think. Now, this is something I do want to tap into for exactly the same reasons we were just discussing. Hello Games has come out and says they've got a bunch of updates coming for No Man's Sky. The biggest one is called No Man's Sky Beyond.
Yep.
They've released no other details about that other than, and this is a quote, they have promised it will be a radical new social and multiplayer experience. Okay. Now, I appreciate and I respect Hello Games' passion for what they do. I think they're a nice bunch of dudes, and I think what happened to them, when No Man's Sky came out was ridiculous. I really, really do. I think that, all the death threats and everything like that. But for them to come out and straight away go back on the hyperbole wagon made me go, guys, do you not remember what happened when the original No Man's Sky came out? Like, you should not been. I'm not talking about the crazy people, but even then, the reviews, the general reaction, the impressions. A lot of people were like, it's okay, it's all right, but it's not ideal. So I'm intrigued. At this stage, I'm amazed that it's still going. To be completely honest, that's not fair. I'm not amazed it's still going, but I'm surprised there is still a fan base locked in that much that the team there can decide, we're going to dedicate all our time to this. I also don't know what they're going to do. I can't figure it out, and I think they're walking on ice by bigging it up to this degree again, because that could easily backfire.
Yeah, I never even thought about that, but you're absolutely right. I think last year, you remember that next update that they released, which was huge and introduced multiplayer gaming and base building and stuff like that. They sort of detailed that all in one. They didn't really sort of tease anything, but yeah, I see what you mean. Teasing is a bit dangerous considering their history.
Well, I just think you've got to back it up this time. That's the thing. You have to back it up. Like, I understand first times things didn't go how they wanted it to go. And I understand that entirely. They thought they had something, they released it, and it, somewhere within the ether, whatever the expectations were, had been misguided by both Hello Games and the people receiving it. I'm sure it was a two-way street. But I was just amazed to see that headline about, especially when you're talking about multiplayer and social spaces. Like, how do you... what do you do in 2019 that's truly going to revolutionize? And I know I'm not coming at it from a developer standpoint, but when you use words like that, obviously not when it comes to those kinds of things, but in terms of technology in games, I think of the original Xbox, to Xbox 360. This incredible different plug that you put in your machine, and all of a sudden everything was crisp and brilliant. HD TVs were amazing again. I think of something like the introduction of Xbox Live. Oh my gosh, I can now play online. When you've got stuff like The Division and Destiny, we've already talked about, that are pushing the whole multiplayer social thing pretty hard, and kind of coming up with open world experiences that are different, but not really shattering what we know. I just think you need to tread carefully, and they've gone all in. 3 huge updates. The first one they argue is going to be the biggest. I don't know. I just, if they do it again and it happens again, I think you have to raise your eyebrow a little bit and go, maybe you should have. Yeah, like I say, just don't go crazy, man. Just bring it back a little bit.
On the other side of the coin, I feel like maybe they feel confident enough to do that because of the goodwill they've earned in the last 2016. It's 3 years. So yeah, I guess they sort of see it as like, yeah, we'll do this for the fans rather than like, let's just tease people again, So I guess it's two sides to look at it.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I just don't want it again. It was awful first time, and it'll be awful again. I don't want anyone to go through. They're nice people too. They really are. They are nice people, I promise. But yeah, I can't remember when that's coming out. It's going to be soon, I'm sure. Talking about developers who are releasing things and dipping back into the well, Rebellion, who do have the Sniper Elite series, is far more successful than I think a lot of people realise. Those games sell far and beyond what you'd imagine. But they have announced Sniper Elite V2 Remastered, obviously, because you have to remaster a game. They're going to release Sniper Elite 3 Ultimate Edition for the Switch, and they're also making a brand new Sniper Elite for VR. Now, as we've already talked about, Rebellion, if you do listen to this, just keep it simple, man. Keep it nice and simple. Let it work on VR. You don't have to be running around. You're a sniper game. There's loads of things you can do. Don't overthink it.
Yeah, if they made me stationary at different levels during that would be fine. Like, that would be absolutely fine.
Oh, man, especially on something like that, because you can, you can have moving target. You can create the space, as they would say, by everything you're seeing. And the fact you'll be in a 3D environment, because that's what a sniper does. A sniper doesn't move that much. Just sit still.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're releasing that. I can't remember when they say it'll be out, but I'm sure it will be out soon. where else are we? And I'm excited about this one, and I think that the people involved as well realise that they're kind of climbing an uphill battle, but that excites me more because I think they'll make it right. The people behind Left 4 Dead and Evolve, less said about that one the better, have announced, in conjunction with Warner Brothers, Turtle Rock Studios is making Back 4 Blood. Straight away you can see that I'm sure it's meant to evoke Left 4 Dead, even though they have said it's not a sequel. But it is a new co-op zombie game experience. Now, I'm sure Left 4 Dead had a lot of help when Valve got on board. You know, Valve aren't stupid. But Left 4 Dead is genuinely one of the best co-op games ever made. Easily the best zombie game ever made.
Absolutely.
I like the fact that Turtle Rock are going back to what brought them to the dance. I like the fact the title, like I say, invokes Left 4 Dead because I think that is... And the fact it's called Back 4 Blood, I imagine this is going to take all of the idea... to me, this should be Left 4 Dead 3. I'm not saying it has to look or play like... well, it should play like it. I also say it has to look like it. And of course, I want to see new features. But that is a franchise that went away way too soon. I don't think you can stumble on cross to a game that good if you don't have talent in your studios. And like I say, Evolve was a really good idea. It was just ruined by microtransactions and pre-order bonuses and who knows what else. Like an absolute disaster.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this one. Like I've said for a while, like if they just got Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 but just didn't touch them and just put them on the PS4, I'd be like, yeah, cool, take my money. But if they're going to do this, I'm also like, yep, cool, take my money.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah, no, there's just so much you could have done with that Left 4 Dead. I mean, it wasn't bad as it was, and you probably could have just released the third and no one would have cared. But they do bring new ideas to the table, and apparently it's going to come on Xbox One and PS3, so while maybe not this year, maybe early next year or something like that, I think the market is still there for it, and realistically... I can't, as long as, I mean, who released, it was 2K that released Evolve, wasn't it? Right, so that's good. So, you know, Warner Brothers aren't involved with that, which I think is a positive first step. And obviously, it being a brand new name, I think it's probably the best idea too. But yeah, if you've never played Left 4 Dead, you should absolutely go and play it. It is brilliant.
It's fantastic. It's the best way to like force people to play together because you're all so vulnerable and you can't survive without each other. Which is like I don't know many other games that make that happen without it being frustrating.
Yeah, no, I mean it really, really is, and you'll fall out, but you'll fall out in the best possible way. Like you know, you'll be at each other's throats because somebody you did something wrong, but you will. Yeah, you'll see. Go and play Left 4 Dead. It's got to be dirt cheap on Steam right now, surely.
Yeah, probably.
In fact, it's probably... What the hell did it come out? It wasn't this gen, was it?
No. It's Xbox 360 and PS3.
Right, Left 4 Dead, eBay.
2007, I think it came out, the first one.
You can get Left 4 Dead 2 for £3 on eBay.
There you go.
£3. Everyone go and buy Left 4 Dead. You're right, of course it was on the mic. Of course it was the 360. It is... You will, well, as long as you like co-op games, you'll absolutely love it. It is a wonderful gem.
Yeah, don't rely on the AI teammates. Get some friends together.
Oh yeah, yeah. You have to play with friends, and you have to be ready to fall out with them and then make up as soon as you're done. But it is wonderful, genuinely wonderful. It's amazing a game that good could just vanish so quickly. It's crazy. Right, the other thing we need to talk about briefly is all the BAFTAs came out. The ceremony's April the 14th, I think, or something in the next 6 weeks or so. I'm not going to focus on all of them. I thought we'd just focus on best game for now because there are so many characters as categories as there are at all these award ceremonies. Some of these I've never even heard of, which I've heard of them, but I don't know much about them. I mean, we'll go through the list, then we'll go back through each and every one. It's Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Astro Bot Rescue Mission, Celeste, God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Return of the Obra Dinn. We've talked about Return of the Obra Dinn, haven't we? You've played
it.
You have. So, does that surprise? I mean, I know you said you liked it, but does that surprise you?
No. I think Obra Dinn got absolutely acclaimed from everyone. It's the guy who made Papers, Please, Lucas Pope.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. Like it's like unparalleled in terms of its concept. Like there's nothing that does what Obra Dinn does, and that is like a great way to, make your stamp on the industry. And it's just the amount of work that went into crafting the interweaving narrative in there must have been crazy, especially because, it's just the one-man team. That's
what gets me, is that... What's the guy's name again?
Lucas Pope.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is ridiculous. I understand that being nominated for something like a BAFTA isn't the be-all and end-all, but it is impressive. Those kind of things don't just happen. And again, there's the argument, this person, so-and-so's just made a game for that kind of crowd. But again, we've got someone here, Sam, obviously, who plays games all the time, that is backing it up to, release a secondary hit after something like Papers, Please, which and both find ways to be inventive within video games. I think it's incredible. I mean, the guy must be surely on the cusp of getting a load of money from someone and making something proper huge. I would do that if I was a publisher. I understand that could dilute him, but I'd certainly bring him in to have a chat. I think it's being able to. The second album is always the hardest. So I actually think Papers, Please was his second game, but you know what I mean in terms of breaking through. We talked about it anyway that I want to play it, but now doubly so. I think he's just talented. Just knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and actually, fun fact: I tweeted him on Friday night because my girlfriend had bought a Where's Wally book, and it was set in the sea, and I was like, "This reminds me a lot of Obra Dinn," just as a joke. And then he tweeted me back like, "One of my favourite book series growing up, and definitely a strong influence on the frozen in time observational concepts in Obra Dinn." So Where's Wally was an inspiration for Obra Dinn. Madness.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
that's crazy.
It is crazy, but there you go. So that's the one. So it's really cheap as well, isn't it, Obra Dinn? You can get it for like a few quid or something. Is that right? Am I making that up?
No.
I gotta look it up now. I swear I looked it up ages ago and it was cheap, and I was genuinely surprised. But it's $20. It's not that much. $20 is now. It's £15 on the Steam UK store, which obviously it's like a couple of sandwiches. We'll go back through them. Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, like I've said it here before. It's a game that I don't want to play, but I also think is a masterpiece. I do think it should be included in stuff like this because it uses an open world as an open world should be used in a literal sense. You just exist within it. You're not doing mission after mission after mission. Characters go off and do their own thing. They know what you're doing. You're always creating somewhat of a shadow as you walk through the world. It evolves. The narrative is great when it gets going, but again, it goes at its own pace. And technically, it's again, as we always say about Rockstar games, I don't know how they were able to do it, and yet everybody else seems so far behind. It's a bizarre game. Like I say, for me, relies way too much on survival techniques just because I don't like that. But still in absolute awe of how well-fashioned it is. Like it's brilliant. Like it really, really is. And it's prime for awards like this.
Yeah, it's like award bait. It's always going to be there. Yeah, and rightfully so.
Have you played it yet? You haven't, have you?
No. I dedicated a week into it, and then I got a code for Spyro, and I was like, nope, bye. That's Spyro.
Small spoiler: Spyro is not on this list. Just so you know.
Oh,
we've already gone through this. God of War's on there. I mean, same reasons as above. I think God of War probably mostly pushes it for the story that it tells with the kid.
Yeah,
because I think to take something as brutal and especially in terms of history, as crazy of God of War, and introduce a story that focuses on family values. Imagine I told you that after God of War 2. Oh, yeah, in a few years, they're going to focus on family values. You'd be like, excuse me?
Yeah.
I think that probably... Again, it's the narrative it tells. And I'm the first to admit that I got no problem... Look, God of War plays great too, but I got no problem with video games, not on the whole, but a big slice of them start focusing more on story than how they play. As long as it plays okay, I think story actually gets me more excited these days.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. Also, we have Celeste. You played Celeste too, right?
No, I haven't. I've got it downloaded on Xbox, and I've heard amazing things, but yeah.
I don't think I know anything about Celeste. Do you know anything about Celeste?
I think it's like a hardcore platformer, like sort of something like Super Meat Boy, but it also tells a story about mental health as you climb a mountain.
That's the one. I knew I recognised it.
So, yeah, I don't know how that manifests itself in the game, but yeah.
That kind of brings together both worlds we were just talking about. So you get like a video game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, how do you focus that on mental health? I mean, I'm not going to lie. I played Super Meat Boy a few times, never got a mental health vibe. So it's fair play to them, though. Yeah, so that worked its way in. Astrobot Rescue Mission. I mean, I'm going to deter to you, Sam. Anything?
I've heard that it's the best VR game ever made. So I've heard it's just amazingly fun and really good VR concept. But yeah, I've not played it myself. But I've heard rave things, like no joke, rave things from everyone who's played it. It's not just like, yeah, this is pretty fun. Like, this is just the most fun I've had in VR. So yeah,
that's nuts.
Cool.
I'm watching it now. It just looks like a platform game.
Yeah. To see a VR game in Game of the Year, though, is madness.
I don't know what's going on with VR at the moment. Is it integrating itself? Is it dead? I can't figure it out because you don't hear a lot about it at all.
No, I think you're getting... Do you remember when everyone and their dog had a VR game when PSVR launched? Because it was just sort of the thing. But I think people are more like taking their time to do meaningful and good and like more impactful experiences now. Because it's not just like, here's a shooter. Okay. It's more like you get this really well thought out platformer, and then Moss was a really, really beautiful game. And yeah, I think they're just doing more with it, more sensible stuff with it, learning from the mistakes maybe.
Well, I hope so. Again, for the first time I played it, it wasn't like motion control. Like when I played motion control, I was like, yeah, it's okay. But when I first played VR, I was like, no, you can do something with this. And I always hope that people did, but I still don't think we're there. I mean, fair play, I didn't hear about Astrobot. And to get nominated for a BAFTA means, and as you said, and also the critical appeal, it must have something. But yeah, I think it just needs something. I just want something big to come out. I don't want it to go away. And when you see VR consoles dropping all over the place, I do get a bit like, great. It's just going to fade away again. I hope that doesn't happen.
No, I hope not. You need the technology to be better, but people need to stick with it.
You do. I mean, motion control served it. Well, the problem with motion control is we've already sorted out the controller thing. Like, the controls we have, put your attention elsewhere. Like, you don't need anything else. And Assassin's Creed Odyssey is the last one. That doesn't fit into that list at all.
It's strange, isn't it? There's an absence of Spider-Man, which I thought they'd be on there.
Maybe it's a superhero game. Maybe BAFTAs are suffering from the same thing that actual movies do.
Yeah.
Where you can't put a superhero game on because people will be like up in arms. Like, you can't put a superhero game on this. Like, well, you probably can. Is there any other glaring omissions? I can't even think what came out of the last year now.
Just having a look at what's nominated in other categories.
Yeah, I'm going to type in Game of the Year.
Detroit won Best Game at South by Southwest, which everyone kicked off about.
I'm surprised that's not on the list. I thought that would be right in there.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, I don't think there's any... No, I think Spider-Man is the glaring admission.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's not there. Personally, because it was acclaimed. I mean, it didn't leave a long-lasting impression, but everyone loved it. I'm just surprised, especially when you got a VR game in there and Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I'd probably take one of them out if I had to.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey is weird. Monster Hunter probably not. Red Dead got in there. Celeste got in there. Tetris Effect, could have put that in there. I wouldn't mind. Florence maybe. Return of Obra Dinn, God of War. I don't know. Maybe. But hey, man, that's award ceremonies for you. You can argue about them to the cows come home. I'm just sort of flicking through games quickly to see. I mean, Smash Brothers. That's not that kind of game. Mint, no. Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves actually came out last year. Good word. Good grief. That's where does the time go? No, I'm looking through. I'm going to say there's not that many. Hitman 2 came out last year. My word, did that not have a good time. Anyway, they're the BAFTAs. Again, I think they go down on April the something. I don't know. It happens at some point. And once we do, we will report back to you to let you know what went down. I'm just slowly scanning news quickly as well to make sure we don't forget anything, because that usually happens when we finish. I don't think so. Everyone just talking about The Division. Which apparently Castle Crash is heading to PS4 and Switch. I thought that was weird. So isn't Castle Crash like 100 years old?
Yeah, I mean, but it is made for Switch. It's one of those games where I was like, oh, that on Switch? Yeah, that'd be perfect.
That is brilliant. What's the other game that guy made? The Castle Crash
Alien Hominid?
That's right. Alien Hominid is brilliant. Re-release
so
that.
Hard, though.
I mean,
so unexpectedly difficult.
Too hard, to be honest. But the art style and everything about that game is... Castle Crash is actually probably more fun. But yeah,
I remember getting it in my young teens and being like, yeah, this looks really good. I love the art style. And then I played it just like, oh my God. Just is so difficult.
It's like Super Meat Boy too. Like Super Meat Boy was just... Oh, it just made you want to pull your hair out. Absolute... Oh, man. Bad times all in all. Right, I asked some questions, so I'm just slowly trying to scan around to get them. We'll start with this one. We always get this one, but we'll do it anyway because it usually is onto other stuff. Bradley says, if you could see a remaster of any game from your past, what would it be and why? The same one I always said. I will even advance this. I will advance this option. I always say RC Pro-Am, but if you don't want to do RC Pro-Am because you don't think it has enough cachet as a franchise, can somebody please just start making some top-down racing games again? Top-down arcade races. Where did they go? Why are they not back? Like, they were so much fun, you were a kid. Do you remember Micro Machines? when you were
They
playing.
released Micro Machines a few years ago. That wasn't received very well, but you can have it if you want it.
Yeah, but I just want a good one. That's all I want. I want a good one. And if you remade, you know, a game that's actually good, which in my opinion is RC Pro-Am, you can take that and I don't know. It just drives me nuts. But yeah, I would always pick that. It had brilliant music too, that was the best thing about the how was it called? Rare Retro Collection, or whatever that.
Yeah, Rare Replay.
Oh man, that's Rare Replay. They did the orchestral theme of that. Oh man, it's just what a fantastic game. So yeah, RC Pro-Am always until the day I die.
Yeah, I don't have a go-to, so I'll probably give different answers each time I ask this. But Skate 1 to 3. Don't even remaster them. Just put them in a package. Just put them in a package and put them on PS4.
Is it? It's not a licensing thing, is it? Because of the music.
It might be, but it's just. I think it's just because the studio doesn't exist anymore. So it's probably just floating around unattended to at the EA offices somewhere on a memory stick.
Because you could easily pull the music, couldn't you? It's easy to do that. Like pull the music and just just do that.
It's got the Clash in it as well. Like it's amazing.
Does it?
Yeah, Death or Glory by the Clash.
I don't remember that at all.
That's Skate 2.
All I ever remember about songs in video games is Tony Hawk. CYK or whatever it was. That's all I remember.
From Tony Hawk's Underground. And
it makes me laugh. They're the days, Sam. They were the days. We'll keep with the classic content. James says, what's your favourite console ever? Super Nintendo. Nice and easy. I was someone else... Oh no, there was that thing the other day that your cyberpunk name is the last shop that you visited and your favourite console, which meant mine was Asda SNES. And I was like, that does work.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I was like, that's exactly what it was. And then I got into a big row with someone about the GameCube versus the SNES. People love the GameCube.
Mine's the PlayStation 1.
Doesn't work as well.
No.
But I mean, we'll talk about all of them just as we're here. The GameCube was great, right? And putting a handle on it was... I mean, honestly, you could argue it was like a precursor to the Switch in many ways. They wanted you to carry it around with you. I think that's probably why they made it so small. I can't remember what they called the little discs. They had names, but I can't remember what the GameCube disc was called.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never a good idea to make your own format, really, but that's what Nintendo's always done. So I thought, screw it, we're going to do it again. Hence why they stuck with cartridges for as long as they did. But I just think when you go game for game between GameCube and SNES, I don't even... Unless you really liked... Geist. Do you remember Geist on the GameCube where you could be a ghost and everyone was raving about it and then it came out and I was like, oh no, this is terrible. Unless you want to play as Geist. Mario Kart is better. There's more better Mario games on the SNES. Zelda is better on the SNES. Although I do like the GameCube ones too, don't get me wrong. And it had F-Zero too. Actually, GameCube had F-Zero as well, but yeah, I don't get it.
It seemed like a bit of an indie console in the sense that you sort of got it for a few hidden gems. But it just, as your main console, it's just ludicrous. Nobody wants that as a main console.
Well, GameCube.
Because, you only had, once you'd completed Sunshine and maybe you had a few rounds of Double Dash, it was like, all right, cool.
I like Sunshine. I really do.
I did not like Sunshine. I thought it was wank.
Why do you think it was wank? I think it was the best one, but...
I just thought it was. I don't know how to back it up, but I just thought the water mechanic just wasn't that fun. Like, everyone's like goes on about it, but it's no Mario 64.
No, it's not no Mario 64. And in fact, if I was ever going to make a Mario list, I don't know where it would rank. I think Sunshine to me was just like a fun, yeah, whatever. And it just so happened to have Mario in it.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah. PS1 though, sell me on the PS1 because I obviously, it completely escaped me, the PlayStation 1. I didn't have the money and I was a child.
I love it. It's so good. Spyro and Crash. If you needed two franchises, and then you got Croc, and then you got Metal Gear Solid, and then you got that Final Fantasy VII everyone goes on about. Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I ever played anything on the PlayStation 1. I played Medal of Honor. That was before you, because the PlayStation 1 only had one. It didn't have any sticks, did it? It just had D-pad.
Well, they did have sticks later on, but yeah, originally they didn't have sticks.
And I remember playing the first Medal of Honor with a D-pad, and it was a nightmare. It's just so hard to control, though. Nintendo 64 had a flipping stick in the middle of... let's not even talk about that. This is just too weird. Sarah says, what was your favourite game when you were a child? Isn't that going to be the same as what it is now? No, there's got to be something that I used to play as a kid that I loved, that I've never mentioned before. It's all the same stuff. I just think of Zelda, Kung Fu, RC Pro-Am, which we've already talked about. What the hell did I used to play over and over? Actually, we never talk about these games. I think as a kid, my favourite game was probably a point-and-click game. like Sam and Max or Day of the Tentacle, Monkey Island, all those games, because they were amazing. Like, I remember the first time we got a PC. I was quite old at the time, I think, and my dad got it for work, but he said we could play games on it. I don't know what it was. Like, consoles were amazing, but there was a time when you got to play a game on a PC where it just felt more exciting, and I don't know why. I guess because it booted. Like, there was something about it booting. It was like, oh, this is fun. But yeah, I mean, and also because it was a time before the internet, because I'm really old, not being able to just look up what the answer was and having to try and, walk your way and actually work these puzzles out, some of which were not logical at all. I love them. I mean, Sam and Max and Monkey Island especially. That's why and I wasn't disappointed, but when they got updated a couple of years ago, they just weren't the same. They lack that charm they used to have, but I miss the point-and-click genre in general. And I know why some people are trying. I know Life is Strange kind of fits into that mold a little bit, but that's not the same, man, because I got old and I left it all behind. So, yeah, I will say that.
Yeah, I'd go. Well, obviously, it's Spyro 2 Gateway to Glimmer, but I'm going to go something different because I always go on about Spyro. Ape Escape, very underrated.
Oh,
series.
Dude, yes, man, agreed.
Yeah, Ape Escape was great. It made use of the sticks in such a great way. And Sly Raccoon, very good series as well.
I totally agree. Also, shout out to the Buzz Jr. Jungle Party instruction manual written by yours truly. That's right. If you got Buzz Jr. Jingle Party on the PS2, go read that manual. Done by me.
Oh, man, I had to look after that. The charity shots now.
Yeah, you should do it. I imagine it's awful. That job was I was intimidating, that job, because it's working at Sony, but it's like, as you imagine, as it should have been. It was super corporate, and when that's your first job out of university, just everything's terrifying. I imagine that is riddled with errors. That just have fear errors. Oh no, I lost my question. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Richard449 says, why aren't more games like Minecraft? I don't mean in the sense of how they play, but Minecraft to me feels more like a service that has been going on for years, whereas other games still stick very much to the sequel model. I would assume because Minecraft are... Who's the biggest band in the world? Justin Bieber. Minecraft's Justin Bieber. When you get that kind of success, you can kind of write your own rules. Whereas, I'm sure, I don't know what money it drags in every month, but I'm sure it's still massive. And also, it's a concept that doesn't age, because it can't age, because it looked crap before it begun. I would assume. I don't know. I've never really played Minecraft, so I don't know if that's the right way to look at it.
Yeah, I think this is Sam's theory right now. I think it got so much money in and of itself in the base game that it didn't need to sell anything else. Like you say, it's a beast unto itself, and it was so successful it wrote its own rules. And the thing is, with everything else, it needs to hit the financial models of whatever the publisher or the overhead is. You need to either sell sequels or sell pricey DLC expansions. And because Minecraft isn't worried about money, they can run everything as a live service without any paid content. But it's just not feasible unless you really make mammoth, like Fortnite. I think if that was paid, if you got all those people in the door paid, like Minecraft, they could have released everything they have done free. But because it's free, it's like the other way around. You know what I mean? They're making their money now by the people they're already in. And I think it's just like, unless you come up with a model as innovative as Minecraft that sells that much and becomes a financial beast, I don't think you could ever have a game as a service like that, because people, like the world doesn't run on goodwill. They're not going to release free content for years just because they like their fans.
It's true. And I got it up here. Minecraft still apparently has over 91 million monthly players. Yeah. That is, it sold over 154 million copies. Obviously, this is last October. And it's just... that the reason Netflix can operate like it does and offer new content is because it has such a big fan base. They can do what they want. That's essentially what Minecraft does. They know the fan base is there. They can trickle stuff out as and when. It continually ticks over. And now, again, as Sam said, because Microsoft backs them with the money, much like Netflix, they don't have to overly worry about it. Whereas if you are Activision, EA, Capcom, you need that revenue stream to be constant. Unfortunately, the only way to do that is constant money. That's it. You need money coming through the door all the time.
I think Mojang, or however you pronounce it, it's just like they were acquired by Microsoft, and it was sort of like, just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
We're not going to demand anything from you, and
Exactly.
that's a really privileged position to be in.
And I would imagine that Microsoft's probably, I'm not saying they've made their money back, but it's very profitable for them when they look at the books at the end of the year.
They're probably not shying away from that. They're probably like, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. Where am I looking? Mark says, what's the deal with Street Fighter? Do you know if we'll get another Street Fighter game in the future? I think you probably will, and I would imagine you may actually get a Street Fighter in a different guise, given how successful Capcom's been with Monster Hunter and Resident Evil. I would imagine there is some discussions about what they can do with the franchise, because Street Fighter will not have been as profitable as those two games will have been. Those two, I'm going to look it up as I talk, but I think those two games destroyed what Street Fighter 5 did. I don't think Street Fighter 5 is a big seller anymore. I'm going to say this and look at it and be like, whoops, wrong. But it could lead to, here we go. That's 2016. I want constant. What's As of June 30th, 2018, Capcom announced that Street Fighter shipped 2.1 million copies, including digital downloads. It's apparently got around 2.5 total. And what did Resident Evil 2 remake do? It did like 5 million in a week or something, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
So I think they've got to. I think they got to change things up. I think Street Fighter 2 is probably. There you go. There is literally news that has come out about. Oh, no, that's not interesting. That's Steam sales for Resident Evil 2, and I can't even see what the damn... Capcom's remake of Resident Evil 2 is short to another master, this time surpassing Resident Evil 7 on Steam. I don't care about that. I want to know... It's done a lot. It sold 3 million copies in its first week, Resident Evil 2, and you could argue that Resident Evil is a bigger series than Street Fighter, but I would say, I don't know, they both have cachet in the past. I think it's time for Street Fighter. I know it's just a 2D fighting game, but... As much like they did with Street Fighter. When Street Fighter 4 came out, everyone was like, this is it, they've done it. They've rewritten how fighting games should be in the modern day with that amazing 2D and yet 3D art style. I think it's time for them to do that again if they want to continue. You know, Capcom had an amazing year last year, and they're not going to release stuff that doesn't live up to that level. And they want to release more Street Fighters, but you've absolutely got to make sure that it ticks the box.
No, and it's fighter games their own beast, really, aren't they? Especially with the esports community and stuff. You don't sort of release one every few years because people need time to adjust, and they take it very seriously. The competitive scene, like Street Fighter 5, is still the king of fighting games at Evo and everything.
Oh yeah,
and it's like,
oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
If you release a new one, I think the community would be like, "Yo, you just released Arcade Edition last year. Why are you doing this?" You know what I mean? It's a really big decision to release a Street Fighter 6 if you were going to do that.
I think that's a good point as well, actually, yeah. On the professional fighting scene, Street Fighter is king, yeah. And there is a lot of cachet in that too. You know, people fight out for $1 million prizes and stuff, and that's cool. You know, that's what you want if you're a fighting game. That's literally their player base. And I think Capcom lent to that last time when it came out, and it felt like it was more ready for competitions than it was for at-home play. Yeah. Which was insane. I remember playing that for review and being like, this is really weird. I can't even do 1 versus 1 because that's what it was designed for. Absolutely nuts. Martin R says, I saw that Shenmue 3 gameplay last week. I am one of the people that put money in, and now I'm worried about what I'm going to get. What do you think? Well, I think if you put money in and you expected anything other than another Shenmue game, you're crazy. I mean, no offense, but to me, it looks like exactly what I thought it would look like.
I think it looks like exactly what everyone thought it would be. Like, it looks like a AA passion project that is made by passion. I don't think you're going to get a big, huge, production with the same level of polish. But I think, if you like Shenmue, I don't think they're going to do it any injustice. It just might not look the same as you expect from other comparable AAA titles or something. So I don't think you'd have something to worry about. I think it's just, it might not have the polish that you want.
But it doesn't have that much money behind it either. It made, what, is it 6 million or 3 million on Kickstarter?
I have no idea.
Kickstarter, Shenmue 3. I don't think it was that much. It made... Oh, they've taken it down. That's weird, isn't it? I know, it made $6.3 million. Which is nothing. Yeah. I mean, amazing for a crowdfunding thing, but nothing in terms of making a game. Let's say that whoever's publishing it, I think it's whoever it is, poured 15 million into it. That's still only $20 million. Obviously, that's an incredible amount of money, but you don't create a game that Shenmue always wanted to be on $20 million. You probably need to times that by 5 to get to where you need to be. So I think you have to expect it to be a watered down version that still plays on the things that you enjoyed. I think it's going to be more a nostalgia game than anything else. Given the fact that Kickstarter has also been up there since 2015, and it's only going to be released 4 years later, I would curb your expectations.
Yeah.
That would
essentially,
yeah, that would be my advice. And we'll do one more from Carl, who says, I used to love playing FIFA, but I don't enjoy the new versions as much as I feel like YouTube has ruined it. Everything's designed for football Ultimate Team, and if I don't want to play that, I don't really see there's much progression elsewhere in the series. What do you think? I think you've got a point to a certain extent, but I also unfortunately think that's business, is it not? If FUT is what makes the money, and every year the developers think that's something, that's kind of, it could also kind of say that's embracing a new model that they've, a new game mode they've released. I don't know. You're right. I don't think FIFA makes huge strides elsewhere, but I don't play foot, whatever you want to call it, so I can't really comment. I don't think it's ruined it, but I think it has had a huge influence on it.
Yeah, I love FIFA. I tried to play Ultimate Team a few years back, but it's built for paying, right? So I think if you really love the concept of Ultimate Team, but you don't want to pay anything, that's when it'd be ruinous. But there's a lot of ways to play FIFA without Ultimate Team. So if you're just looking to play online with your friends, you've got head-to-heads or pro clubs, you've got offline, which is a great career mode either for a pro or for a manager. I don't think Ultimate Team is as bad as people say it is, just because it is avoidable. Sorry. Obviously, if you like Ultimate Team as a concept, it is very much like try to get money out of you. But it's not like you have to pay to play FIFA.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've always found it very avoidable. But it's just obviously built for getting money out of the player, which is obviously annoying.
I say this all the time, but I always struggle to be critical of a video game's business model when it's working. Like, if they've released it to make money and it makes money, you kind of have to shrug your shoulders and go, okay, you did it, well done, good, well done to you.
Yeah, it's sort of like I don't want to put money into Ultimate Team, so I don't play it, and obviously, like, that's a bit problematic, that view. That's a whole can of worms, but it's sort of like, yeah, it's not like Battlefront 2 where it ruined the whole core pillar of the game. Yeah, I think it's still avoidable in my mind. Oh,
absolutely. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying that it's a positive to do that in terms of the consumer, but from a business point of view, like, you just said that, you feel like it's ruining it for you because of you don't like FUT or I don't know what they call it these days, but the fact that people do that, they're always going to skew to those people because they are going to put in the cash. Again, it's a whole other can of worms, but it's hard to say it's ruining FIFA when I bet if you look at it year to year, FIFA's probably making more money now than it did ages ago. And also, again, this is no excuse. Just because one good doesn't mean you can run around doing bad. But I remember playing FIFA 2006 Road to World Cup. That was an abomination of a video game. I remember at one point Ronaldinho's face started melting because they hadn't coded it properly. It was terrible. FIFA these days is a really good video game. And
you never know how much of that Ultimate Team money has gone into making it as good and all these licenses that you got now. Yeah. That's a good point.
And I do think it's better than PES these days. I do. I went back to PES this year, or last year. I wanted to give it a go because I was always a PES guy. PES 6, my favourite. I think FIFA's better. It could be just because I've played it so much, it's hard to go back, but I do think PES is better.
Yeah.
FIFA is better. So, yeah, there's that. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you as always, everyone, for tuning in. I did that thing. Sekiro. Sekiro Never Die Twice is out next week. I am playing it. I'm going to do a series on VG247's channel for all people. Yes, they've asked me to do it. We had a long chat, and I said, yes, I will do it for you. So, yeah, we will talk about that next week. Keep an eye on VG247. Obviously, it won't be up till maybe even next week because it doesn't come out till Friday, obviously. But keep an eye over there. I am going to be playing. So, obviously, Dark Souls spiritual sequel. We will talk about it next week as well as anything else that comes down the wire. But be warned, a good 50% of next week's podcast could be me ranting and raving about how those games are an abomination to mankind. You've been warned.
I can't wait. I'll do it off your fire.
But I've warned you now, so you can't tune it. That's like saying if you come around my house, I'm going to punch you in the face. You come around, I punch you in the face. Go, what'd you do that for? I've warned you. I've told you. If you don't know my opinion, I've never done this. I don't Google myself, genuinely. If I type in Simon Miller Dark Souls, if you do this, there you go. Type in Simon Miller Dark Souls and everything is there waiting for you. My gosh, there's loads of it. Whoops. It's everywhere. Just me saying, what a pile of shit. I may need to go and monitor those. You've got a week before I go and monitor some of those posts because I use a lot of colourful language that I probably shouldn't use. I do it in jest, but even I just looked through them and thought, whoops. Right, we'll move on. Sam, thank you as always, my friend.
No problem.
And we'll be back next week. Again, at Sam Bishop, 3 Ps and a 1 on Twitter to talk to Sam. I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Simon316. YouTube.com/The Middle Report Rules. If you enjoy watching your gaming podcasts online, you can check it out there. And if nothing else, enjoy yourself. Support the podcast if you can on patreon.com/Simon316. And Sam and I will talk to you again in around about 7 days' time.